Maren, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. You would be here with us, but there is a massive snowstorm. There's a quite the accumulation of snow outside. What is it like outside where you are right now?
It's snowing. It's beautiful. But yeah, definitely staying inside today.
Tra- we're
Yeah.
trapped. We're confused on if our cars can make it. We were having this debate, like if we had to leave right now, who has a strong enough car or truck to actually get out through the snow? Are you guys good? If you needed to go to the grocery store, do you have a big 4-wheel drive?
I mean, Ryan has a truck. I don't think my Tesla would make it to the store safely.
You got a new song that's out today. I'm always curious because this, is a very anticipated new project from you. Do you have to kind of lock this down so it doesn't leak out early?
Yeah, I'm probably a little overly paranoid about stuff like that. Like I'm not that cool to have a giant leak, but yeah, I mean, I've sent it around to friends and like my team and obviously my co-writers, but yeah, we try to keep some air of mystery or element of surprise as much as you can, but yeah, I think we kind of accomplished that, but here we are. It's out.
So circles around this town. We've been playing it all morning. And you wrote this with Ryan, with Julia Michaels, and with Jimmy Robbins. And so tell me about this. Did you all four write this in the same room? And do you get in the room and go, all right, I got this idea. How does this song come together?
Yeah, I epically failed at the Zoom co-writing phase everyone was in 2020. So I just decided like, I don't really want to write over a computer until we can safely do it in person. So we all quarantined in the fall of 2020 so we could be in person with Julia and Jimmy, because obviously Ryan and I are in the same house. But yeah, we all wrote at Jimmy's place, and it was my first time writing with Julia, and obviously she's a mega talented songwriter and artist in her own right. And yeah, I just, I tried to come prepared, and, writing with her, I wanted to come with something. So I had the title Circles Around This Town. And the hardest thing when you're writing with people that are writers, but also artists, is figuring out who are we writing for today. And I was outvoted, and everyone decided this was going to be mine. So, but I'm glad that they pushed me in that direction because they were right.
So as you guys are writing the song, let's say you're not even finished yet. You haven't declared who is actually going to get the song. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, I think in the first 30 minutes, we were trying to figure out what the first verse would say, because I had the chorus pretty fleshed out. And Julia was just like, when did you move to town? And I was like, about 9 years ago. And she just started kind of quizzing me on my background, and what she was doing very brilliantly and very slyly was getting lyrics out of it. And then it was decided that it was my story. And I really leaned into it in the second verse, where I kind of name drop older songs of mine that kind of were the stepping stones to where I am now. But it ended up being one of my favorite songs to kick off this whole record. And yeah, it's probably the most specifically autobiographical song in my repertoire.
What was the moment for you when you were still living in Texas where you thought, man, I've got to go to Nashville? Like, what was it that made you move?
I'd taken a couple trips to Nashville, and I hadn't really taken the full plunge, but I was saving money just being a receptionist at my parents' hair salon. And I wanted to move to Nashville and not have to like immediately find work. I wanted to just throw myself into songwriting. And I think in Texas, it gave me such a great springboard of like a rich music culture to grow up in my teens. But moving to Nashville, I wanted to be, a professional songwriter. And, obviously I'm biased because I live here now and it's my home, but I feel like the best songwriters in the world live in Nashville. So that's what prompted me to come here.
So we know you now as, a superstar, but when you first moved to Nashville, is it hard sledding at first? Like hard to get people to write with you, hard to get people to care?
Yeah, I think my whole strategy, even to this day, is like underplay everything. And don't come into the room assuming that people know who you are or talking a big game. Just like wait your turn and know that you're good. It's not about being meek or watering down your confidence or your talent. It's just about like respect and knowing that there are so many talented people in this town. So I really slow played it, and I still kind of keep that motto to this day, like don't oversell, because it kind of ends up being disappointing in the end, and you don't want people thinking that like you're rubbing them the wrong way. So I was definitely very shy, but it was hard. It was hard to get rights, but you just have to like put yourself out there and go to shows by yourself, even though you feel super lame. But that's honestly how I ended up like making friends and getting co-writes. And some of those co-writes are, co-written by my best friends today. So yeah, it's hard in the beginning, but the payoff is worth it.
Maren, you said one thing you hope not to do this year in 2022 is fall on stage. Have you ever fallen on stage in the middle of a big show?
I mean, I've had some close calls, wearing heels, tripping on cords, but not fully eating it. But I mean, now that I say that, it's going to happen this year.
Yes, you have sealed your destiny. I was watching, maybe it was an Instagram live, it was some clip, and you were doing the 21 questions, which was really funny, by the way. Great content there. And you were talking about, I think the question was, what's the weirdest thing in your closet? And you said something about all the fake hair. Like, what does that mean exactly? And how much fake hair is in there?
More than I would care to admit. I mean, Ryan is so curious / grossed out by it because it's just dead hair that belonged to someone else. If you think about it, it is really bizarre. But yeah, there's some clip-ins, there's some like wigs in there's some fake bangs, just every shade of color because I change my hair a lot. So yeah, there's a lot in there, and it's probably just all some Russian girl that
Another thing that you were talking about, because I really love that 21 questions thing, where you were talking about, I think the wildest thing you had done, and I was going to ask you about this anyway, was that because I talked to Ryan, your husband, about it, was you getting in that fighter jet. So does someone call you and say, hey, Maren, we'd like for you to do this? Or do you kind of reach out and go, hey, if anybody's got a fighter jet, I'd love to hop in one?
Definitely the former. I don't know if I could ever be ballsy enough to reach out and be like, put me in this jet with you. But no, the Thunderbirds, the Air Force Thunderbirds reached out to me last summer. And I think Old Dominion recently did something similar where you do the training and you have to learn how to like train your body into going into, GForce. And knowing what I know now, I probably would have backed out because it was so intense, but I'm really glad that I did it. I scared the F out of myself, and I'll never do it again, but it was such an honor. And just meeting all of those guys and women and, being trained to go into the jet. I didn't throw up and I didn't pass out. So I feel like that was a huge win. And they actually told me that shorter women, because I'm 5'1", fare better with gravitational force, and they don't get as sick or lightheaded as like tall men do. So I kind of hung that over Ryan's head.
Yeah, and he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He would have lost it.
Maren Morris is on with us. Help me just understand this jet, because you're in it and it looks awesome. You have a picture that you can frame and is an amazing picture for the rest of your life, and you can show your kid, kids eventually, if that's the case. But you get in this thing, is it like an intense roller coaster, or is it so much more than even, the craziest roller coaster you've been on?
I remember there was a roller coaster at the Six Flags in Arlington, Texas, that was called GForce, and you would lay back and then it would take you up and then drop you. And I guess it was sort of similar to what I did. I think I got up to 5 Gs. We were supposed to go up to 10, but yeah, it was a short trip. But it was a really claustrophobic environment. It's really tiny, and I can't imagine being in the single person planes because obviously I'm with a pilot. I'm not flying it, but it was very wild. They give you these G pants, or it's called the G suit, and these pants you put on The second you go into GForce, they fill up with air. So it's compressing your blood flow in your legs and moving it up to your head, because the reason people pass out is because the GForce makes all the blood rush out of their head, and that's when like the lights go out. So I mean, but it was a lot of work, but I just have so much more respect than I even had for anyone that is a pilot or in our armed forces that flies those jets, because not only do they have to stay aware while going into and doing loops and going into GForce, but they also like are sometimes in combat, and it's just insane that they can function while up there.
Yeah, if I had those pants, it wouldn't be filling with air. I tell you that. It may be air in them, but it's not going to be just air. I have two final questions for you, Maren. By the way, Maren Morris is on with us. Brand new song, Circles Around This Town. We've been playing it all morning. We'll play it again a little later. Okay, two questions. My first one, I saw that picture of you and Amy Poehler. I'm such a massive fan of Amy Poehler. Read her book, watch everything she does. How did that picture come about? And also, who asked for the picture? Because sometimes I'll also get to be around people that are kind of cool, but I don't want to ask for a picture because I don't want to be that person. So how did you get the guts to ask for the picture, or did you not?
I did. I asked her, and I actually thought of you because I know you've said, as long as someone is not, with their children, and you're a fan of them, it is totally okay for you to go up and say that you admire somebody, and they would hopefully be, flattered. But I never go up to people because I just don't want to bother them. But this one, Amy Poehler, growing up watching her on SNL was so formative in my like junior high and high school years. It's like who we would watch every Saturday night, and she was so funny. And then obviously Parks and Rec and Mean Girls and every iconic thing she's been in. I just thought, what the heck, I'm going to go up to her. We were at this, the Beatles documentary that just came out a few months ago on Disney Plus. They were having a party at Henson Studios in LA, and my producer Greg was playing at it. And so we just randomly went last minute. But Janet, my manager, and I left kind of early because I was shooting like album artwork all day and I was exhausted. So we left early, and Amy and her manager were also doing the same thing. And so we had a moment where it was just the four of us all leaving and getting our coats. And I was like, I'm going up to her right now. And I just said, I also had like 2 margaritas. So I think that was probably part of it. But I had the guts to go up to her and I just said, look, I don't want to bother you, even though I am about to, but I'm such a fan of yours and your humor, as not just a woman, but just as a human being that's shaped so much of my upbringing, is just so special to me and always will be. That's all I want to say. Good night. And then she turned to me and she was like, I know who you are. And she was like, I'm a huge fan and I love the Highwomen. And I wanted to bawl. And then I said, can we get a picture? And in the photo that I posted, you can actually see I look like I need to be medicated because there are tears in my eyes. And but it was just so special. Like, I think when you know that you're never going to see someone like that again, just go for it.
I love it. Yes, I don't have the courage to do that, but I do say, if you love someone's work and they're not with their kids or they're not eating, go tell them, because they probably want to be told that. I mean, you love to be told that, right, Maren? And you're a superstar and people would think that's Maren Morris. I don't want to bother her, but don't you like people going, hey, your song has changed my life? As long as they're not, reaching their hand into your macaroni, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm always so floored when people have the guts to come up to me, because I don't have the guts to go up to people most of the time. But yeah, it's a huge honor. And I think if you start becoming like a jerk about it, you should probably just call it a day and retire, because like, if you remember your 10-year-old self, that's what you like thought would be the coolest thing, is people coming up and saying that they're a fan of your work.
Last question. You have a new song out, but is this, the first part of a new project where we're going to get a whole lot more?
Yeah, I'm an album gal. I love making full records, and it's the first kickoff. So it's been about 3 years since I've put new music out, and This just felt like the best first chapter to release. And it's upbeat. I really, at the beginning of the year, just wanted to hear something that was jangly and fun and hopefully inspiring. And so there's an album coming. It's imminent.
Well, and I'll wrap on saying this, that we have a little setup at the house. So if I'm doing any remote TV stuff, we have a little fake set. And in the background, I have two music things. It's your first album and Keith Urban. And way back in the day, it was a little note you wrote on there. And I just, love the music and love you and Ryan so much. So whenever you do get the new album, I need a new framed album to put there, because I'll only replace you with you. That's the deal, that you don't care that I'm making with you, but I'm making with you right now. So when you get the new album, I'm holding that spot for you to put that album, that large vinyl print there as well.
You're the first vinyl that I will send out. I do have a question. Which Keith Urban?
It is not this last record, but the one before that. And you're putting me on the spot because I remember no names of any records at all. So it's the one with John Cougar, John Deere, John 3. That album right there.
John's Hung.
Yeah. Yes. They're all good. It's hard to pick, but I'm honored to be up there with him on your wall.
Graffiti You is the name of that album. There it is. I promise I didn't Google that. All right, Maren, so glad you have a new song out. The radio, the streaming services are better when you have music out that people are loving and listening to. So thank you for spending time with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Y'all enjoy the snow day.
All right, bye, Maren.
This is a Bobby Bones show.